La comitiva en la que viajan sus majestades los reyes está recorriendo el paseo de la Castellana en dirección a la Plaza de Lima.
Pasamos, ministra, presidenta. Acompañado.
¿Alguien la... ¿La estuviste en la...
Presidenta, por favor.
En estos momentos efectúan su llegada sus majestades los reyes, escoltados por el escuadrón de escolta real. Les recibe el presidente del Gobierno y a continuación serán saludados por la ministra de Defensa, la presidenta de la Comunidad de Madrid, el alcalde de la Villa de Madrid y el jefe del Estado Mayor de la Defensa. Tras recibir los honores militares, Su Majestad el Rey recibirá novedades del Teniente Coronel Jefe del Grupo de Honores de la Guardia Real, don Humberto Briones Valero, y a continuación pasará revista a la fuerza.
A orden de Vuestra Majestad, la agrupación de honores de la Guardia Real está dispuesta para ser revistada. Gracias.
Las autoridades asistentes al acto saludan a Su Majestad de los Reyes.
Allora andiamo a
Ya. De acá por el aire. Vamos.
A continuación, el jefe de Estado Mayor de la Defensa solicitará permiso a su majestad el rey para iniciar los actos que darán comienzo con el listado y homenaje de exaltación a la bandera nacional.
Peut-être le mettre dehors.
Dans le son, pour la cérémonie d'ouverture, ça va être bien.
Pardon?
Tu vois, il y a des moments où on sait qu'on est bien là-bas. Tu restes là pour l'ouverture après.
Buenos días. Al miembro del desfile aéreo, al mando del teniente general Francisco González Pasatiana, jefe de mando aéreo de combate, pueden ver dos de los fighters pertenecientes a la UCE, junto a dos F-5 de la 23, la unidad de instrucción de los pilotos de caza y ataque del ejército del aire. Los aerostates de la UCE han participado con tropas en la misión contra la defensa de la policía aérea. La UCE a continuación, la conservación de 4 objetos de la 14 asesada en la base aérea de Proclamation. En este año 2021, la 14 ha desplegado la base aérea de Siole, en Lituania, para llevar a cabo las misiones de policía aérea. Ha sido la pieza fundamental que ha permitido garantizar la integridad y seguridad del espacio aéreo lituano, libre y exterior. La tercera formación podemos ver a 4 F-18 pertenecientes a las alas 12 y 15. Estas unidades participaron en las operaciones de pacificación de la antigua Yugoslavia entre 1995 y 2002, dejando el departamento de la base sahariana y en el año 2011 en la operación Unified Protector en Libia. Ambas unidades se encuentran alistadas en los conocidos griegos por parte de la fuerza. La nueva escuadrilla de la Armada participa en este día con una formación de unidades Hatria AV-8 Plus. El Hatria es el avión de caza y ataque de la Armada y constituye un elemento fundamental de sus capacidades militares. La tecnología lo hace perfecto para operar desde portaaviones de reducidas dimensiones. Sus misiones son la defensa de la fuerza naval, el apoyo a las fuerzas de infantería marina y el ataque a aviones civiles. Los F-18 pertenecientes a las alas 12 y 15. La capacidad de abastecimiento del vuelo constituye una estación multiplicadora de poder aéreo, próximamente se incorporará al ejército del aire los Airbus 330 para reforzar estas capacidades aéreas. La siguiente información, al mando del grupo de aviones de F-4 está en la operación de dos clases de los servicios de transporte son la actividad de la comunidad para el ejército del aire y para la acción de la Estado, como servicio de la Las siguientes formaciones están compuestas por medios dedicados a la vigilancia y el rescate marítimo. Podemos ver un 20 de Orión del grupo 22, especializado en patrulla marítima y lucha submarina. Le acompañan los aviones cazas de 235, uno del servicio aéreo de la Guardia Civil, dedicado a misiones de vigilancia de costas y fronteras, la lucha contra el narcotráfico, etc., y otro del salvamento marítimo, para vigilar y evitar que los barcos contaminen nuestros mares y localizar a las personas que necesitan de ayuda de la mar. Seguidamente podemos ver 3 aviones Canadian del 43. Su misión principal es la lucha contra incendios forestales. Durante la campaña estival se despliegan a lo largo de diferentes bases en territorio nacional, acudiendo así a las comunidades autónomas. El 43 grupos se encuentra englobado en el programa europeo terrestre, con el que España colabora desplegando sus medios aéreos en países de estilo específico. En esta formación podemos ver una representación del transporte aeronáutico en sus casas de los equipos de la Escuela Militar de Transporte Aéreo Militar del Grupo de Escuela Aeronáutica. Lo acompaña con casa del transporte aéreo del año 37, cuya misión principal es el transporte aéreo de personas y mercancía, y otro militar del 721 Escuadrón para la realización de los lanzamientos de los cursos de paracaidismo llevados a cabo en la Escuela Militar de Paracaidismo Méndez Palma. Ahora comienza el desfile de helicópteros, encabezado por una formación del Ejército del Aire. Integra helicópteros Cougar, Super Puma y NH-90 de las alas 48 y del ala 46. Las principales misiones de estas unidades son el transporte MIR, la búsqueda y salvamento, la recuperación de personas en zonas de combate y el transporte sanitario. Los helicópteros Super Puma conformaron las ambulancias del área de las tropas españolas en Afganistán desde 2008 a 2013 y esta será su última participación en este mismo. La siguiente formación está compuesta por 5 helicópteros Eurocopter Colibrí en ala 68 y que alberga la Escuela Militar de Helicópteros, centro de referencia para la enseñanza de vuelo en helicópteros en España. A esta prestigiosa escuela que representa hoy aquí y por todo el mundo la patrulla ASA, creada en 2004 y única patrulla del mundo, compuesta de 5 helicópteros. Seguidamente vemos una representación de los medios del ejército de tierra. La formación está compuesta por un helicóptero de ataque Tigre, un NH-90, un Cougar, un Eco Charlie 135 de emergencias, un Chinook y 3 Eurocopter. Estos helicópteros realizan muy diversos cometidos, tanto de seguridad y escolta como de reconocimiento y transporte. Han participado en numerosas misiones internacionales, destacando su presencia en lugares como Afganistán, Irak o Pakistán. En estos momentos existe una formación de flotillas de aeronaves de la Armada, compuesta por una Augusta B 212, helicóptero muy polivalente cuyas principales misiones son la de transporte de tropas, apoyo aéreo para unidades de tierra y apoyo a buques en el ámbito de reconocimiento de su sitio. Un Sikorsky CG, dedicado a la guerra civil marina y a misiones de alto auxilio. Sikorsky CG, preparado para ser desplegado a bordo de las escoltas de la Armada, cumpliendo sus misiones de búsqueda, salvamento y rescate y apoyo a operaciones especiales entre otros. La siguiente formación de helicópteros del Servicio Aéreo de la Guardia Civil está formada por 3 helicópteros, un Airbus H-135 y 2 helicópteros Airbus Dupont, equipados con cámara FLIR y foco para búsqueda y rastreo. Desde el año 1963, el Servicio Aéreo ha realizado más de 290.000 horas de vuelo, participando en múltiples misiones, especialmente con la agencia Proclamation en la lucha contra la inmigración ilegal y el narcotráfico. Los helicópteros de acción del Estado, 2 helicópteros con Charlie 135 del Servicio de Medios Aéreos del Cuerpo Nacional de Policía. Su misión es dar apoyo operativo al resto de las unidades y servicios del cuerpo y participar en misiones humanitarias. También un helicóptero Airbus Dupont de la Agencia Estatal de la Administración Tributaria. A principios de este verano de 2021, una unidad sufrió un grave accidente en el que perdió la vida el funcionario de aduanas, José Luis Domínguez Iborra. También está aquí el helicóptero Helena, un Airbus de la Sociedad de Salvamento y Seguridad Marítima de San Fernando. Está específicamente configurado para buscar y rescatar personas en peligro del mar. Finalmente, en tierra el despliegue aéreo, como ya es tradición, una gran embajadora de España por todo el mundo, la patrulla acrobática de España, la patrulla Águila. Está formada por 7 agentes de armamento. Sus integrantes son pilotos de caza y ataque que trabajan como instructores en la Academia Nacional del Aire. Compartían su trabajo como instructores de vuelo con los instructores de pilotos de la patrulla. La patrulla Águila seguirá transmitiendo los valores y principios fundamentales de España, pintando los cielos con los colores de la bandera nacional al finalizar el desfile terrestre. Una pasada gran organización logística.
La responsabilidad de la preparación y ejecución del desfile terrestre este año ha recaído en la brigada Almogávar 6 de paracaidistas. Precediendo al mando y encabezando el desfile, hace su entrada la sección de motos de la Guardia Real con sus características generales. Vehículos del mando del desfile terrestre. Abre el desfile terrestre el general jefe de la brigada paracaidista, don Luis Sáenz Broncardi, con un vehículo de ordenemos igual al interconectado de unidad de veteranos. Desfiles componentes de la Real Hermandad de Verano, de las Fuerzas Armadas y de la Guardia Civil. Personal militar con discapacidad. Unidad de reservistas voluntarios. Continúa el desfile una unidad de representación de los reservistas voluntarios de los servicios de tierra, aire y armada. Grupo de vehículos militares. A continuación, le sigue un salón organizado al mando del teniente coronel González del batallón de escapadores 6 de Valencia, estando compuesto por vehículos multipropósitos, 2 M21, 2 Mitre, 2 vehículos especiales Alcata, denominados y 2 vehículos pesados 30 con cajas, en concreto una rueda con caja y un periodo de atrás de 105 milímetros. En este despliegue participan vehículos encargados en los diversos batallones de los grupos de la unidad de infantería de la Marina Este de la Armada. En primer lugar, un vehículo alto tamaño el cual para el puesto del extremo organizado de la Armada, como se refiere, estando encuadrados dentro de los batallones de la del curso de la Armada. A continuación, desfilan sobre dos bandas de representaciones el primer batallón de desembarco del Ejército de la Armada. Seguidamente, asignan 3 vehículos de combate de infantería finalmente en diferentes configuraciones, todos ellos con capacidad voladera, precisando a las fuerzas de infantería marina. Por parte de esta democracia federal, se hicieron organizadas a las fuerzas de 9 vehículos especializados en la defensa. Por parte de la UNE, reciben un vehículo de guerra de intervención federal configurado para la línea de resistentes universales. Para ellos, también especializado en intervención y vehículos de intervención de la PIC-1, un grupo de especializados en intervención que cuentan con el estándar de rechazo de la lectura manual y la modalidad están totalmente compatibles. El próximo enero celebrarán el equipo de años de la creación de la primera bandera de la primera edición de Europa de la Nación, con varios actos conmemorativos. Hacía desfile una compañía de la U, compuesta por 86 efectivos pertenecientes al primer batallón de intervención de emergencia, acompañados de 3 guías caninos y sistemas de búsqueda y rescate. Estos militares formaron parte del despliegue de esta acción iniciativa en la línea de apoyo en el entonces de la Nación y más que lograron reclamar distinciones de diseños principales de ciencias y de la altura. Y este último afectó a más de 22.000 hectáreas. La compañía de fusiles Pertila pertenece a la agrupación de reserva de seguridad de la Guardia Civil, una unidad especializada y especializada en la prestación de servicios en el partido de seguridad y orden público, para preservar la seguridad de las actividades. Tercera agrupación a continuación, presida la tercera agrupación compuesta por unidades del Ejército de Tierra, al mando del Jefe de Descubrimiento de Infantería, Zaragoza número 5 de Margarita, el coronel don Francisco Herrera Luz, acompañado del oficial mayor don José Miguel Martín. La agrupación se compone de mando y estado mayor del Descubrimiento de Infantería Zaragoza de Margarita, mando y estado mayor de escuadra de Estadores, banda de línea de la Brigada Margarita. Los margaritas reciben por su uniforme de general de Italia, de origen regional, por el uniforme de general argentina de color celebrar, así como el identificar fácilmente en el título de margaritas con los ojos de participación el reagrupamiento de la unidad. ustedes, como segunda unidad de mapa específico, el estudio de habilidades de defensa número 54, representado por el favor de Juan número 54, al mando del mayor fuerte, bienvenido al equipo mayor monte, el superior mayor grande, los compañeros como es reglamentario, que pueden de esta manera visitar las zonas de los colores y la nueva que mencionamos en todo el mundo. Que la organización no de esta fuerza, el equipo, llevando directamente a los
hecho el relato, está haciendo Facebook, la sería para otra función para mí.
Ladies and gentlemen, the children of President-elect Biden, Robert Hunter Biden II and Ashley Blazer Biden, also the grandchildren of the President-elect.
I know. Totally got cut off.
Ladies and gentlemen, accompanying the Vice President, the Secretary of the Senate, the Honorable Julie E. Adams, and Chief Administrative Officer of the House of Representatives, Catherine Spindor. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of the United States, the Honorable Michael R. Pence and Mrs. Karen Pence. Ladies and gentlemen, accompanying the Vice President-elect, the Chief of Inaugural Ceremonies, Maria Miller-Lohmeyer, the Acting Deputy House Sergeant-at-Arms, Kevin Grubbs, and the Acting Deputy Senate Sergeant-at-Arms, United States Capitol Police Officer, Private First Class Eugene O. Goodman. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President-elect of the United States, Kamala Devi Harris, and Mr. Douglas Emhoff. The Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, Staff Representative Alexandria Gordikan-DeChico, accompanying the House Republican leader, the Honorable Kevin McCarthy. Staff Representative Bridget Brennan, accompanying House Majority Leader, the Honorable Steny Hoyer and Mrs. Yvette Lewis. Staff Representative Kate Knudsen, accompanying Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Honorable Nancy Pelosi and Mr. Paul Pelosi. Staff Representative Lindsey Kerr, accompanying the Honorable Amy Klobuchar and Mr. John Bessler. Staff Representative Stephanie Hager Mucko, accompanying Senate Majority Leader, the Honorable Mitch McConnell and the Honorable Elaine L. Chao. And Staff Representative Rochelle Graves Schroeder, accompanying the Chairman of the Joint Congressional Committee for Inaugural Ceremonies, the Honorable Ladies and gentlemen, accompanying the President-elect, the Staff Director of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, Fitzhugh Elder IV, the Acting House Senate Sergeant-at-Arms, Tim Blodgett, and the Acting Senate Sergeant-at-Arms, Jennifer Hemingway. Ladies and gentlemen, the President-elect of the United States, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., and Dr. Jill Biden. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the presentation of our national colors by the Armed Forces Color Guard, the singing of our national anthem, and for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ladies and gentlemen, here for the singing of our national anthem, accompanied by the President's own United States Marine Band, please welcome Lady Gaga.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the City of South Fulton, Georgia Fire and Rescue Department, President of the International Association of Firefighters, Local 3920, Fire Captain Andrea M. Hall, for the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please welcome the Honorable Amy Klobuchar.
Vice President Pence, Mr. President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect, members of Congress and the judicial branch, former presidents and first ladies, vice presidents, leaders from abroad, and a whole bunch of Bidens. America, welcome to the 59th Presidential Inauguration, where in just a few moments, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will take their solemn oaths. This ceremony is the culmination of 244 years of a democracy. It is the moment when leaders brought to this stage by the will of the people promise to be faithful to our Constitution, to cherish it and defend it. It is the moment when they become, as we all should be, guardians of our country. Have we become too jaded, too accustomed to the ritual of the passing of the torch of democracy to truly appreciate what a blessing and a privilege it is to witness this moment? I think not. 2 weeks ago, when an angry, violent mob staged an insurrection and desecrated this temple of our democracy, it awakened us to our responsibilities as Americans. This is the day when our democracy picks itself up, brushes off the dust, and does what America always does: goes forward as a nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This conveyance of a sacred trust between our leaders and our people takes place in front of this shining Capitol dome for a reason. When Abraham Lincoln gave his first inaugural address in front of this Capitol, the dome was only partially constructed, braced by ropes of steel. He promised he would finish it. He was criticized for spending funds on it during the Civil War. To those critics, he replied, "If the people see the Capitol going on, it is a sign we intend the Union shall go on." And it did, and it will. Generations of Americans gave their lives to preserve our republic in this place. Great legislation to protect civil rights and economic security and lead the world was debated and crafted under this dome. Now it falls on all of us, not just the two leaders we are inaugurating today, to take up the torch of our democracy, not as a weapon of political arson, but as an instrument for good. We pledge today never to take our democracy for granted as we celebrate its remarkable strength. We celebrate its resilience, its grit. We celebrate the ordinary people doing extraordinary things for our nation, the doctors and nurses on the front line of this pandemic, the officers in the Capitol, a new generation never giving up hope for justice. We celebrate a new president, Joe Biden, who vows to restore the soul of America and cross the river of our divides to a higher plane. And we celebrate our first African American, first Asian American, and first woman vice president, Kamala Harris, who stands on the shoulders of so many on this platform who have forged the way to this day. When she takes the oath of office, little girls and boys across the world will know that anything and everything is possible. And in the end, that is America, our democracy, a country of so much good. And today, on these Capitol steps and before this glorious field of flags, we rededicate ourselves to its cause. Thank you. It is now my honor to introduce to you the senator who has worked with me and so many others to make this ceremony possible, my friend and the chair of the inaugural committee, Missouri Senator Roy Blunt.
Well, I should have known when Senator Klobuchar got involved, at least there'd be a touch of snow up here this morning. Of all the things we'd considered, I don't think snow was on my agenda till I walked out the door a moment ago. But thank you, Senator Klobuchar, and thanks to the other members of the Joint Congressional Committee on the Inauguration as we officially begin the 59th inaugural ceremony. I also want to thank the Joint Committee staff and our partners, particularly our security partners, for the way they've dealt with unprecedented circumstances. When I chaired the inauguration 4 years ago, I shared President Reagan's 1981 description of this event as commonplace and miraculous. Commonplace because we've done it every 4 years since 1789. Miraculous because we've done it every 4 years since 1789. Americans have celebrated this moment during war, during depression, and now during pandemic. Once again, all three branches of our government come together as the Constitution envisions. Once again, we renew our commitment to our determined democracy, forging a more perfect union. That theme for this inauguration, our determined democracy, forging a more perfect union, was announced by the Joint Committee before the election with the belief that the United States can only fulfill its promise and set an example for others if we are always working to be better than we have been. The Constitution established that determined democracy with its first three words, declaring the people as the source of the government. The Articles of Confederation hadn't done that. The Magna Carta hadn't done that. Only the Constitution says the government exists because the people are the source of the reason it exists. They immediately followed those first three words with the words to form a more perfect union. The founders did not say to form a perfect union. They did not claim that in our new country nothing would need to be improved. Fortunately, they understood that always working to be better would be the hallmark of a great democracy. The freedoms we have today, the nation we have today, is not here just because it happened, and they aren't complete. A great democracy working through the successes and failures of our history, striving to be better than it had been. And we are more than we have been, and we are less than we hope to be. The assault on our Capitol at this very place just 2 weeks ago reminds us that a government designed to balance and check itself is both fragile and resilient. During the last year, the pandemic challenged our free and open society and called for extraordinary determination and sacrifice, and still challenges us today. Meeting that challenge head on have been and are healthcare workers, scientists, first responders, essential frontline workers, and so many others we depend on in so many ways. Today we come to this moment. People all over the world, as we're here, are watching and will watch what we do here. Our government comes together. The Congress and the courts join the transition of executive responsibility. one political party more pleased today and on every inaugural day than the other. But this is not a moment of division, it's a moment of unification. A new administration begins and brings with it a new beginning. And with that, our great national debate goes forward, and a determined democracy will continue to be essential in pursuit of a more perfect union and a better future for all Americans. What a privilege for me to join you today. Thank you. I'm pleased to call to the podium a longtime friend of the President-elect and his family, Father Leo O'Donovan, to lead us in an invocation. Please stand if you are able and remain standing for the national anthem and the pledge to our flag.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the City of South Fulton, Georgia Fire and Rescue Department, President of the International Association of Firefighters, Local 3920, Fire Captain Andrea M. Hall, for the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please welcome Jennifer Lopez to perform This Land Is Your Land and America the Beautiful, accompanied by members of the President's Own United States Marine Band.
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking down that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. Oh, this land, oh, this land. This land was made for you and me. Oh, this land, oh, this land. This land was made for you and me. You and me. Oh, See to shining sea. Una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Let's get was made for you and me.
What you are all about to be part of, America, is a historic moment of firsts. To administer the oath to our first African American, our first Asian American, and our first woman vice president, Kamala Harris, it is my great privilege to welcome to the inaugural stage the first Latina to ever serve on the Supreme Court of the United States of America, Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the oath of office, followed by musical honors.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear.
I, Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
That I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I will well and faithfully discharge.
That I will well and faithfully discharge.
The duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
The duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Please welcome.
Well, that was great. The sun is shining, and Mr. President-elect, this is the first inauguration in the history of America where J-Lo was the warm-up act for Chief Justice Roberts. With that, it is now my distinct honor to introduce the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, John Roberts, to administer the presidential oath to the next President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the oath of office, followed by musical honors.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
That must be the swingingest fanfare ever to welcome the Governor-General and the President of the Olympic Committee.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Vice President Biden, Mr. Chief Justice, members of the United States Congress, distinguished guests, and fellow citizens. Each time we gather to inaugurate a president, we bear witness to the enduring strength of our Constitution. We affirm the promise of our democracy. We recall that what binds this nation together is not the colors of our skin or the tenets of our faith or the origins of our names. What makes us exceptional, what makes us American, is our allegiance to an idea articulated in a declaration made more than 2 centuries ago. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Today, we continue a never-ending journey to bridge the meaning of those words with the realities of our time. For history tells us that while these truths may be self-evident, they have never been self-executing. That while freedom is a gift from God, it must be secured by His people here on earth. The patriots of 1776 did not fight to replace the tyranny of a king with the privileges of a few or the rule of a mob. They gave to us a republic, a government of and by and for the people, entrusting each generation to keep safe our founding creed. And for more than 200 years we have. Through blood drawn by lash and blood drawn by sword, we learned that no union founded on the principles of liberty and equality could survive half slave and half free. We made ourselves anew and vowed to move forward together. Together we determined that a modern economy requires railroads and highways to speed travel and commerce, schools and colleges to train our workers. Together we discovered that a free market only thrives when there are rules to ensure competition and fair play. Together we resolved that a great nation must care for the vulnerable and protect its people from life's worst hazards and misfortune. Through it all, we have never relinquished our skepticism of central authority, nor have we succumbed to the fiction that all society's ills can be cured through government alone. Our celebration of initiative and enterprise, our insistence on hard work and personal responsibility, these are constants in our character. But we have always understood that when times change, so must we. That fidelity to our founding principles requires new responses to new challenges. That preserving our individual freedoms ultimately requires collective action. For the American people can no more meet the demands of today's world by acting alone than American soldiers could have met the forces of fascism or communism with muskets and militias. No single person can train all the math and science teachers we'll need to equip our children for the future, or build the roads and networks and research labs that will bring new jobs and businesses to our shores. Now, more than ever, we must do these things together as one nation and one people. This generation of Americans has been tested by crises that steeled our resolve and proved our resilience. A decade of war is now ending. An economic recovery has begun. America's possibilities are limitless, for we possess all the qualities that this world without boundaries demands: youth and drive, diversity and openness, an endless capacity for risk, and a gift for reinvention. My fellow Americans, we are made for this moment, and we will seize it so long as we seize it together. For we, the people, understand that our country cannot succeed when a shrinking few do very well and a growing many barely make it. We believe that America's prosperity must rest upon the broad shoulders of a rising middle class. We know that America thrives when every person can find independence and pride in their work, when the wages of honest labor liberate families from the brink of hardship. We are true to our creed when a little girl born into the bleakest poverty knows that she has the same chance to succeed as anybody else because she is an American, she is free, and she is equal not just in the eyes of God, but also in our own. We understand that outworn programs are inadequate to the needs of our time. So we must harness new ideas and technology to remake our government, revamp our tax code, reform our schools, and empower our citizens with the skills they need to work harder, learn more, reach higher. But while the means will change, our purpose endures. A nation that rewards the effort and determination of every single American. That is what this moment requires. That is what will give real meaning to our creed. We, the people, still believe that every citizen deserves a basic measure of security and dignity. We must make the hard choices to reduce the cost of health care and the size of our deficit. But we reject the belief that America must choose between caring for the generation that built this country and investing in the generation that will build its future. For we remember the lessons of our past, when twilight years were spent in poverty and parents of a child with a disability had nowhere to turn. We do not believe that in this country freedom is reserved for the lucky or happiness for the few. We recognize that no matter how responsibly we live our lives, any one of us, at any time, may face a job loss or a sudden illness or a home swept away in a terrible storm. The commitments we make to each other through Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, these things do not sap our initiative, they strengthen us. They do not make us a nation of takers, they free us to take the risks that make this country great. We, the people, still believe that our obligations as Americans are not just to ourselves, but to all posterity. We will respond to the threat of climate change, knowing that the failure to do so would betray our children and future generations. Some may still deny the overwhelming judgment of science, but none can avoid the devastating impact of raging fires and crippling drought and more powerful storms. The path towards sustainable energy sources will be long and sometimes difficult. But America cannot resist this transition. We must lead it. We cannot cede to other nations the technology that will power new jobs and new industries. We must claim its promise. That's how we will maintain our economic vitality and our national treasure. Our forests and waterways, our croplands and snow-capped peaks. That is how we will preserve our planet, commanded to our care by God. That's what will lend meaning to the creed our fathers once declared. We, the people, still believe that enduring security and lasting peace do not require perpetual war. Our brave men and women in uniform, tempered by the flames of battle, are unmatched in skill and courage. Our citizens, seared by the memory of those we have lost, know too well the price that is paid for liberty. The knowledge of their sacrifice will keep us forever vigilant against those who would do us harm. But we are also heirs to those who won the peace and not just the war, who turned sworn enemies into the surest of friends, and we must carry those lessons into this time as well. We will defend our people and uphold our values through strength of arms and the rule of law. We will show the courage to try and resolve our differences with other nations peacefully, not because we are naive about the dangers we face, but because engagement can more durably lift suspicion and fear. America will remain the anchor of strong alliances in every corner of the globe. And we will renew those institutions that extend our capacity to manage crisis abroad. For no one has a greater stake in a peaceful world than its most powerful nation. We will support democracy from Asia to Africa, from the Americas to the Middle East, because our interests and our conscience compel us to act on behalf of those who long for freedom. And we must be a source of hope to the poor, the sick, the marginalized, the victims of prejudice, not out of mere charity, but because peace in our time requires the constant advance of those principles that our common creed describes: tolerance and opportunity, human dignity, and justice. We, the people, declare today that the most evident of truths, that all of us are created equal, is the star that guides us still, just as it guided our forebears through Seneca Falls and Selma and Stonewall, just as it guided all those men and women, sung and unsung, who left footprints along this great mall, to hear a preacher say that we cannot walk alone, to hear a king proclaim that our individual freedom is inextricably bound to the freedom of every soul on earth. It is now our generation's task to carry on what those pioneers began. For our journey is not complete until our wives, our mothers, and daughters can earn a living equal to their efforts. Our journey is not complete until our gay brothers and sisters are treated like anyone else under the law. For if we are truly created equal, then surely the love we commit to one another must be equal as well. Our journey is not complete until no citizen is forced to wait for hours to exercise the right to vote. Our journey is not complete until we find a better way to welcome the striving, hopeful immigrants who still see America as a land of opportunity, until bright young students and engineers are enlisted in our workforce rather than expelled from our country. Our journey is not complete until all our children, from the streets of Detroit to the hills of Appalachia to the quiet lanes of Newtown, know that they are cared for and cherished and always safe from harm. That is our generation's task, to make these words, these rights, these values of life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness real for every American. Being true to our founding documents does not require us to agree on every contour of life. It does not mean we all define liberty in exactly the same way or follow the same precise path to happiness. Progress does not compel us to settle centuries-long debates about the role of government for all time, but it does require us to act in our time. For now, decisions are upon us, and we cannot afford delay. We cannot mistake absolutism for principle, or substitute spectacle for politics, or treat name-calling as reasoned debate. We must act. We must act knowing that our work will be imperfect. We must act knowing that today's victories will be only partial, and that it will be up to those who stand here in 4 years, and 40 years, and 400 years hence to advance the timeless spirit once conferred to us in a spare Philadelphia hall. My fellow Americans, the oath I have sworn before you today, like the one recited by others who serve in this Capitol, was an oath to God and country, not party or faction. And we must faithfully execute that pledge during the duration of our service. But the words I spoke today are not so different from the oath that is taken each time a soldier signs up for duty, or an immigrant realizes her dream. My oath is not so different from the pledge we all make to the flag that waves above and that fills our hearts with pride. They are the words of citizens, and they represent our greatest hope. You and I, as citizens, have the power to set this country's course. You and I, as citizens, have the obligation to shape the debates of our time, not only with the votes we cast, but with the voices we lift in defense of our most ancient values and enduring ideals. Let us, each of us now, embrace with solemn duty and awesome joy what is our lasting birthright. With common effort and common purpose, with passion and dedication, let us answer the call of history and carry into an uncertain future that precious light of freedom. Thank you, God bless you, and may He forever bless these United States of America.
Hard not to be reminded of President Obama's singing that same song at the Mother Emanuel Church. A song that in our culture is as close to both poetry and prayer as you could possibly come. And we're going to finish with those two things. Let me introduce Amanda Gorman, our nation's first ever National Poet Laureate.
Mr. President, Dr. Biden, Madam Vice President, Mr. Emhoff, Americans, and the world. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, in the norms and notions of what just isn't always just is. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb, if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared it at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So, while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens. But one thing is certain: if we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the west. We will rise from the wind-swept northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked south. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
Thank you, Amanda Gorman. Now for our benediction, I'm pleased to introduce Reverend Dr. Sylvester Beeman, the pastor of the Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Wilmington, Delaware, a friend of President Biden for 30 years.
As a nation and people of faith gathered in this historical moment, let us unite in prayer. God, we gather under the beauty of your holiness and the holiness of your beauty. We seek your face, your smile, your warm embrace. We petition you once more in this celebration. We pray for divine favor upon our President, Joseph R. Biden, and our First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, and their family. We further ask that you would extend the same favor upon our Vice President, Kamala D. Harris, and our second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, and their family. More than ever, they and our nation need you. We need you, for in you we discover our common humanity. In our common humanity, we will seek out the wounded and bind their wounds. We will seek healing for those who are sick and diseased. We will mourn our dead. We will befriend the lonely, the least, and the left out. We will share our abundance with those who are hungry. We will do justly to the oppressed, acknowledge sin, and seek forgiveness, thus grasping reconciliation. In discovering our humanity, we will seek the good in and for all our neighbors. We will love the unlovable, remove the stigma of the so-called untouchables. We will care for our most vulnerable, our children, the elderly, emotionally challenged, and the poor. We will seek rehabilitation beyond correction. We will extend opportunity to those locked out of opportunity. We will make friends of our enemies. We will make friends of our enemies. People, your people, shall no longer raise up weapons against one another. We will rather use our resources for the national good and become a beacon of life and goodwill to the world. And neither shall we learn hatred anymore. We will lie down in peace and not make our neighbors afraid. In you, O God, we discover our humanity. In our humanity, we discover our commonness. Beyond the difference of color, creed, origin, political party, ideology, geography, and personal preferences, we'll become greater stewards of your environment, preserving the land, reaping from it a sustainable harvest, and securing its wonder and miracle-giving power for generations to come. This is our benediction, that from these hallowed grounds, where slaves labored to build this shrine and citadel to liberty and democracy, let us all acknowledge, from the indigenous Native American to those who recently received their citizenship, from the African American to those whose foreparents came from Europe and every corner of the globe, from the wealthy to those struggling to make it, from every human being, regardless of their choices, that this is our country. As such, teach us, O God. As such, teach us, O God, to live in it, love in it, be healed in it, and reconcile to one another in it, lest we miss kingdom's goal. To your glory, majesty, dominion, and power forever. Hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. In the strong name of our collective faith. Amen.
Please remain standing as the Armed Forces Color Guard retires our national colors. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated and remain in your seats while the President and official party depart the platform. For safety reasons, your ushers will release your section in an organized manner, following the playing of our national march, The Stars and Stripes Forever.
Thank you all. Thank you. Need a lot of work for you. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations, sir. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Remember, you used to get elevators.
We're going to cut this right here.
Hey, Robbie.
Butterfield, North Carolina. I'm still standing, girl. Still standing. Still standing. All right. Hey, hey. Look at you. Oh, well, sir. Good to see you. How are you?
You're doing great.
Fantastic. How are you? Good to see you, Elizabeth. Nice to see you. How you doing, my brother? You don't want to Good to see you. Hold down the fort in Delaware. You doing all right? Family's all right? Everybody's good? All right. Good job, Elizabeth. You did a really good job. We'll catch up. I got some thoughts and ideas we need to think about. All right. Good. How you doing?
Watch your back, watch your back.
By the way,
At least more than the last year.
so Robert Altman said to say hello, and my pal Linda, we phoned them yesterday. They said the keys.
Okay.
All right.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Well done.
Almost finished.
Mr. President.
Are you still on foreign relations?
Very much so.
Are you still going to work on Africa?
You're welcome. To work with me. How you doing? Hanging in there? Yeah. Proud of you, man. Good. Going. In the administration, I'm still working, so.
Still working hard.
Yeah.
Head to the cemetery after this, sir.
We're still with him. We're done with the film.
give me up the net return. I might as well listen out.
motion. Very good.
to the people down there, maybe. That's maybe. Yeah, but I'm saying they look like they're doing things in Washington. Okay, with a mob of people.
Were they yellow?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I know, we need a door. here. I'm sorry. It's like your office. No, appreciate it. Are we just going to yes, I'll say something. Everyone from here to there. Okay, you got it.
Thank you, sir.
Will you?
Family have never been a step. Yeah.
Put it closer over here. Okay.
Exactly right.
Yes, you can't see it. Yeah, but you didn't need that eye, did you?
Thank you.